Well, thank you everyone for joining us today on our Well Health and Safety Rating webinar. So what are we going to talk about today? So today we're going to share a little bit, how do we keep our building occupants safe? And what does that lovely little well seal, round seal mean on the building? So first, let me introduce the panelists today. We have Denise Kolstock-Tamez, who's with Milliken Carpets, but with some other great acronyms that go with her name, but she's certified by Fitwel. She is LEED accredited and a member of the WELL faculty. So then we have Tamara Miller, who is our managing director of interiors for AVRP. She's NCIDQ. She is LEED accredited professional as well as WELL AP. Now, did you get all that with the well and the well? And then we have Dr. Mark Shukri, who's the CEO of TWA Engineering Group. And Mark has a PhD in engineering, and he also is a LEED accredited professional. So there's your three people today. So with that, let me just share with you three things that we want to have and share with you as our take-home value today. First, why? Why are wellness and healthy environments important to us? And what are the benefits? The second thing is, what is WELL health and safety rating, and what does it do for you? And then the third thing is how. What are the physical tools available to us to execute WELL building and safe building interiors? So three panelists here will go about 15 minutes apiece, and then if there are any questions, we're going to leave some time for that. So with that, I'm going to let Denise start the show.
Okay, I have the honor of telling the story about WELL and why WELL is important right now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And then, so I'll get this up. Okay, so the WELL building standard, if you haven't really dived into the WELL building standard, it is a comprehensive program with 10 concepts of air, water, light, nourishment, movement, thermal comfort, sound, materials, mind, and community. The reason for this is to really increase productivity, decrease burnout, increase attraction, decrease attrition, and increase performance all within our workspaces. The global WELL movement, prior to the pandemic, there was about 527 million square feet enrolled in the WELL program in some kind of capacity. Post-pandemic, what I actually found out yesterday, it was 2 billion post-pandemic, and now it's over 3.5 billion. So in less than 2 years, it's gone from 527 million square feet to 3 billion square feet. And we'll find out why that growth is. So here is one reason: human and social capital metrics in ESG. ESG is the environmental social governance reporting that a lot of companies have to do in terms of relaying across what they do for the environment and what they do for their social occupants. So the Hong Kong Stock Exchange has released mandatory ESG reporting requirements for 4 environmental and 8 social factors. Multiple bills are pushing the US Securities and Exchange Commission to expand human capital management reporting. Standard setting agencies such as SASB and IIRC are expanding human capital metrics to include worker well-being. Just last year, June 2021, the United States Congress passed legislation that all public companies are mandated to report on ESG. WELL building in itself has such a huge impact in the environmental and social aspect of ESG. And what brings us to that is sustainable finance is even moving towards WELL building. So Swire Properties launched their first green bond, raising $500 million. Part of the proceeds financed their office, which is pursuing WELL certification. Champion REIT secured a lower interest rate on their first sustainability linked loan by achieving WELL certification. The spotlight on social in ESG, that's where WELL comes in. The growing number of studies that show company promotion of employee health and well-being yields higher corporate financial value. It spurred on the need for more comprehensive, comparable, and standardized health and well-being metrics. So here we are being forced, not forced, but now it's really important that we report on what we're doing environmentally and socially within our companies. But how do you measure that? How do you go about measuring what you do within your company landscape? Here's the WELL portfolio. You use the WELL portfolio. So the Well portfolio is a comprehensive program that Well developed so that if your company owns maybe 2 assets or maybe thousands of assets, and you need to implement the Well program kind of on your own timeline, the Well portfolio is a perfect program for that. Basically, it gives you this alignment and guidance to report those outputs of what you're doing for health and wellness. And this score, you see that little 43 score, that actually goes up over time depending on what you do for health and wellness within your space. And you can use this platform for reporting what you do for ESG. And so here we are with this new mandated leverage of health and wellness for occupants. And this is giving you the opportunity to use this one platform. You can use it for market leverage, for competition, and just to show your stakeholders what you're doing. The JLL perspective. More than ever, we need to ensure that our buildings and workplaces support the physical, psychological, and social health of those who occupy them. Our Well portfolio score is a further step in our commitment to improving our work environment and amenities for all of our employees so that they can experience a greater sense of happiness and well-being at work. The triple bottom line, it's about people, planet, profit. Post-pandemic, if you're not investing in the people, if you're not investing in the planet, the profit is going to suffer because people are wanting healthier and safer places to return to. Here's an example of the growth. In Kundo's Well certified workplace, employee absenteeism dropped by 19% in just 1 year. In CBRE, Toronto, and Vancouver Well certified workplaces, total employee turnover rate has fallen by almost 1/3, and the hiring rate for new talent has doubled. Productivity rose by 30% at Landsec's Well certified Silver London workplace. The important factor here to consider is that we spend about 1% of our bottom line on energy. Back in the beginning of 2005, in that economic downturn, LEED really took off. We really focused on environmental energy savings. And now post this pandemic, post this economic downturn, it's health and wellness is the focus. Uber, I'm gonna move this. Well portfolio underscores the value of having one voice and one team working synchronously on cross-functional initiatives. It's been rewarding to see all of this come into fruition over the past few years. The bar just keeps getting higher and higher. What they mean by having one voice and one team working synchronously is that with Well portfolio, it encompasses everyone involved. It gets together the C-suite, HR, facilities, and all stakeholders. So everyone has a voice into what is happening with health and wellness within the workplace. Collaboration and alignment in ESG. The Well building standard is meant to work with other standards. So if your building is already LEED or it's working with BREEAM or Living Building Challenge, it's going to have so much overlap within that standard so that it's going to be easier to implement the Well building standard if you're already involved in these other standards. The IWBI and 9,000 other companies support the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So in 2015, about 150 different countries came together to create 17 Sustainable Development Goals to happen by the year 2030. 80% of Well features are aligned with 16 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And the why that's important is, here's Lenley saying, the way in which we benchmark ESG performance is by aligning with international standards. The Well building standard gives you a platform to easily align with other standards and report on it. Let's take a look a little at this Well portfolio video and hopefully inspire a little bit.
The places where we work, live, learn, and play have a profound impact on our health and well-being. More than our genetics and even our access to healthcare. Organizations looking to attract the top talent or the top tenants know that they need to offer more than a paycheck and good benefits. They need to support whole person well-being. That's why we've created Well Portfolio, a program that helps organizations implement, scale, and assess proven strategies that can impact the lives of many, from their staff to their customers.
We see that all of you are the centers of gravity for a growing movement where organizations are investing deeply in a culture of health and well-being. And not simply from an altruistic perspective, but understanding that the health of the business is linked to the health and well-being of the people who work there.
Well Portfolio is a new pathway for engaging with the well building standard. The WELL rating systems are the world's leading framework for advancing human health and well-being in buildings, communities, and now, through the WELL Portfolio program, across entire organizations. Tailored to meet the needs of organizations of all shapes and sizes, WELL Portfolio acts as a roadmap to guide organizations on their individualized wellness journeys, recognizing and rewarding their achievements along the way. WELL Portfolio subscribers can elect to earn WELL certification for some or all of their assets in the portfolio, while others may not intend to achieve certification at all, opting to treat wellness as a journey as opposed to a destination and seeing their WELL Portfolio score tick up over time.
So the WELL Portfolio program has been actually a very interesting one for us. So it gives us the ability to really to get scale. So, for us it is, we want to get multiple locations certified. There are, when you look at the certification, there's certain aspects of that is repeatable for every location. And so it just makes sense, both from just a time standpoint and a return on that investment, to go ahead, get the bulk of that out of the way, work with the right teams globally to do so. And then it just makes it that much easier to then prioritize and start knocking off locations, if you will, from the certification process.
Accelerate healthier people and better business. Join the WELL Portfolio program.
Okay, so I think the most exciting thing about what was said in that video is that it's not just an altruistic idea anymore. Prior to the pandemic, it was something that was fun. Wellness and health was some kind of an extra entity that we added into our designs, into our cultures. Post-pandemic, it is absolutely paramount that health and wellness is focused on, because people want a healthy space to return to, something safe to enter into. And if we don't incorporate that into our culture, the bottom line is going to start to suffer in terms of market competition and really hiring and retaining top talent. So strategic value drivers. Why WELL? Attract and retain top talent, reduce absenteeism and improve employee productivity, improve or change culture, support mental health of employees, promote preventative health and reduce healthcare costs, increase health and wellness program participation, increase organization and real estate investment through GRESB ESG, support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, enhance brand equity through market leadership, align real estate, operations, facility, HR, and C-suite with a shared vision, validate healthy building performance through third-party testing. Again, during the last pandemic, we really focused on energy efficiency, and now we're focusing on social factors. It is paramount because people want healthy and safe spaces to occupy. And WELL Building Standard gives that platform to report on ESG, which is now mandated for public companies. So now we have the market push, we have the culture push from C-suite, and we have the necessity of healthy and well spaces. So that is the why for WELL. Okay. On with Tamara.
Thank you, Denise. That was a fantastic overview, and I have a background in WELL and I'm a well-accredited professional, but I did not know all of the updates on WELL Portfolio and that flexibility of being able to gain points along the way and still get credit and recognition for what you're doing as a company or as a firm, designer, developer, tenant. It's just, I love that flexibility. So thank you for guiding us through all of those changes and updates. So funneling down to a little bit more of a narrow focus, there is a subset of WELL building a rating called the Well Health and Safety Rating. And this was developed specifically as a response to the COVID pandemic. Is it safe to say we're now in a post-pandemic environment? I never know if that's appropriate to say, but we are moving back to work. We are going back to spaces. And if you have a well certification, that certainly proves to everyone that you are in a safe environment. But there is another rating, the health and safety rating, that addresses very specific post-pandemic issues. And it was developed by the IWBI task force. And that task force is a group of health experts, government officials, academics, business leaders, architects, designers, building scientists, real estate professionals, to inform what points are really necessary to prove to everyone that when you're entering into the building, whether it be as a visitor, as an employee, you're entering into a safe space. This slide is also probably a little bit dated. Denise, you're saying that your metrics were a little dated. I'm sure this is as well, but you can see how many square feet have already been enrolled in just a couple of years. So I'd be willing to guess it's over 2 billion now that are enrolled in the health and safety rating. So this rating really covers 5 main points: cleaning and sanitization, emergency preparedness programs, health services and resources, air and quality management. And some of these points, the air and quality management, are derived directly from the well building points. And then also stakeholder engagement and communication, which is pretty huge. So there are over 20 points, and you really only need to pick and choose 15 to get this rating. And the most important thing to understand on the slide is that most businesses are doing just about all of these. Your company provides sick leave, health benefits. You have cleaning services and cleaning practices. A lot of companies, if they didn't already have touch-free faucets and toilet facilities, they're renovating to make that available as well. There are signs that say, please wash your hands before you go back into the work environment. And we have ventilation systems. This just supports maybe boosting those ventilation systems, getting some better filters that help clean the air, and making sure that you're on top of changing out those filters on a regular basis. It's something that's so easy to forget, but it is so important to make sure that our buildings are functioning the way they should be. And also managing mold and moisture. And then some of the other things that I think are really important that we forget is stakeholder engagement. Are we informing our employees about all of these practices that we're doing to make sure that they understand that the building that they're returning to work is safe? You get a point for doing that. And as well as things like sharing food inspection information. And there's also recognition for something innovative that you're doing that isn't necessarily on this list. And so reopen with confidence. This rating is flexible. It's applicable for large and small facilities and all facility types. We'll see a bunch on the next slide. And similar to well building, again, it is third-party verified, which is so important in really keeping that transparency to the public. And it's scalable. So along with the well portfolio, you can have multiple locations and streamline the documentation to really make this an easy rating to achieve. And it is priced for accessibility. This is pennies in comparison to what's spent on probably napkins on a yearly or monthly basis. It really is made to be easily achievable for everyone so that we can see that health and safety rating seal on everyone's windows across the country. As you can see, it's applicable for any facility type, including ones we don't often think about, like sports and entertainment, multifamily buildings, industrial buildings, along with all of our offices and restaurants and education spaces. So the journey, it's simple, the path is laid out. You enroll. Again, as I mentioned, you customize your approach. There are a number of points, but you choose 15. There are no prerequisites. So if there is something that you just can't do or achieve, that's okay. You have plenty to choose from. And then all of that documentation is reviewed by a third party. You get your health and safety rating. And again, that's a sticker that you can put right on your front door to prove that you are safe for everyone to enter into your building. And then part of the program is really to renew every year to make sure that all of your systems in your building, specifically those water and air quality management systems, are functioning the way they should be year after year. So look for the seal. Why is this important? This is a quantifiable and transparent way to communicate what you're already doing to the public. So labels are important. This label is pretty much the same thing when you go into the grocery store and you see a whole bunch of fruit in front of you. You see the ones that are organic, and you know that all the ingredients in that apple, it doesn't have any extras, it doesn't have any toxins that are going to harm your body. That's why we put those labels on our fruits in the grocery store. Why, when we're approaching a restaurant, we see that the restaurant is rated A versus B or even C. Which one are you going to go into? When we put that label onto our building, it shows that it's that safe place to enter, and it really just makes it clear to everyone. So here's some information if you want to get some additional clarity on your own. And then also we're here as a resource always. If you want to find out more or do an evaluation of your building for something more project specific. And with that, I'm going to go to the next slide, and we will move on to learning about the ventilation systems that Mark Shukri has been developing.
And Mark, before you go, I can just add something to this technology. This is a one-of-a-kind technology. There's nothing that exists like this right now. So excited to have him share this technology and what it can do for building environments. Mark?
Thank you, Chris. I'm so happy to present this new technology, especially right now and while we are during huge changes which COVID-19 mandated in our industry. Unfortunately, the systems, most of the systems which we are using for ventilation, they are using return air, and which is mixed with some fresh air. The problem of using return air is sometimes it actually can be contaminated with the COVID virus or COVID-19 virus, which means let's imagine ourselves in a meeting room and one of us has COVID, he is breathing, talking, this virus is moving from the meeting room to the main central air handler, then spread out through the whole building. This is catastrophic, and actually it's dangerous. That's why when COVID started, people started to separate, and of course, getting together is a major risk to get COVID. So this product came about a year ago, and it is some kind of a purification system which can kill virus COVID-19. Not only virus COVID-19, its variant, beta, being tested, and all the other variants as well, which we are talking about, Omicron, Delta, and whatever is going to come up, including influenza and SARS-1. So any virus with hydrocarbon component, this system can be killed. The bad news is that in our industry, there were so many people claiming that this system can kill the virus. But the problem is, what is it? Is there an evidence that really the system can kill the virus, or we can put something which is, we think it can kill the virus, but it doesn't kill the virus? So this is why this system, as Chris mentioned, is very unique. It was taken by a third party, a group of the best and the top-notch scientists in microbiology, and they tested it in the University of Southern California. These are some names of the scientists, and one of them is Dr. Joshua. He is one of our top scientists in our nation, and he is a DOD top secret clearance professor in the University of Nebraska, and he is the one who actually discovered in 3 or 4 months after the COVID-19 came out that this virus is an airborne. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is the lab in University of Southern California where the virus was taken, and it required a huge amount of security because this virus came from Wuhan, China. They didn't want to repeat this in California, and this virus escapes. So it took a lot of precautions to make sure, and they took this virus, injected it in a very typical commercial system, and they tested it, and they investigated the air, or the quality of the air before and after. To cut the story short, they injected 3,000 doses of COVID-19 in this system, and they actually proved that it can be killed from the first round, first pass. And the way that they did that is taking samples and using a very high sophisticated technology to test the air after being passed through the system. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is the conclusion, and this was taken right out of the University of Southern California report. The system proved with all models of the hummingbird purification system that it can kill 99.5% of all viruses. This being done after injecting 3,000 doses. And they wrote it. They injected 3,000 doses. Each dose is enough to infect human being. And it's actually, they couldn't find any traces after the system. Of course, this is very powerful, especially in high density area. And when I say high density area, I'm talking about elevators, restrooms, meeting rooms, airports. These facilities and these places where they have a lot of people, a lot of probability, high probability to have COVID-19 infection, it's a must. I think from my experience, it's a must to have something like that, because somebody has the COVID, even with no symptoms, at least it's going to be caught and not transmitted to someplace else in the body. Next slide, please. This system, it comes with a single chamber, and actually it comes, and this is the one pass which being tested. However, there is a triple chamber, which definitely being recommended for high density spaces, because if we can kill the virus with one single chamber, so imagine if we have triple chamber, that means it's more than 200% security to kill the virus. Also, this system can come with a standalone system that can be used in classroom or a meeting room. It can serve up to 100 square feet. The system also has a control system that can be monitored for air quality 24/7, and it can come with a LCD screen, which is projecting the ASHRAE standard for indoor air quality and can be traced year round, and it can actually give accurate real time about the air quality within the building. So there is a lot of potential of using such this technology worldwide, and even in cars. Right now, we are testing it with small models for cars, and there is a big opportunity that this system can be maybe mandated with some governments in the future to make sure that any space is safety and it actually safe for people, and it's not actually spreading the COVID virus or any new virus that we may have in the future. With this, I turn it to Tamara.
Or I'll take it. So Mark, just to cover this, one item you brought up is there's a portable version of this. So as we were talking, you can actually take the portable version and you could put it in a modular trailer, for instance, for a small classroom, right? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or if you're in any kind of temporary building or even a permanent building that is separate from the main building, you can use the portable system and still achieve the same results, correct?
Absolutely. Definitely. This can be done, and each unit can serve something like 100 square feet. If we have a larger space, definitely we can put more. So, and this is circulating the air, making sure that the any contaminated air which has the virus is going to be killed once we pass it through the portable system. Absolutely.
And what I found fascinating about this system is that it is not a filter. It is not something that tries to trap virus or airborne aerosol virus. It actually kills it, correct? It doesn't.
Exactly.
So it's not a capture system, it's a kill system. Right?
Actually, that's absolutely right. And let me just add a little bit. Any human cell or any cell, any living cell, it has hydrogen and carbon. And this system actually, it dissociates the hydrocarbon component of the cell, changing it to hydrogen and carbon, then changing the hydrogen to water vapor and the carbon to carbon dioxide. So no more virus. So this is exactly as if are exploding the cell of the virus.
Excellent. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit here and go over a couple of questions that have come up, and I'll let whomever on our panel here field this one. So this one is probably for Denise. How long does it take for a building to get well certified?
Good question. You have about a year. Once you register your project online through the WELL platform, you have 1 year to get it registered or to get the paperwork submitted and approved by WELL. So it could take up to a year, but not past a year. If you make it past a year, you have to re-register.
And do you have to utilize a well-accredited professional to start that or to start the process?
Right. So you have to have a WELL AP on your team. It could be someone within your team, within your organization becomes a WELL AP, or you can use a designer from the firm that you're working with, or it can be an outside consultant, but there needs to be a WELL AP on your team.
Okay. Another question is, how much does all this cost? So I think there's two parts to this question. How much does it cost to go through the process of to get the well-certified building? But then there's another direct cost, which is the systems, which is things that Mark has been talking about. So let's first go to what does it cost to get the WELL certification?
Okay, so WELL certification and health and safety both have completely different costs. They're two completely different rating systems. So for the whole entity to be WELL certified, your entire building is, for one building, it's $2,500 enrollment fee. And then it's 16 cents a square foot with a cap at $98,000.
Oh, okay. Mark, any idea about the costs of the systems, for instance, like the portable unit and then retrofitting existing systems to integrate the Hummingbird system?
The cost of the portable unit is roughly about $5,500, roughly. Of course, with Qantas, this can change. And the cost of the central system, just rough estimate, is going to be anywhere from $8 to $10 square foot. And this is putting the system within the central HVAC system, the purification system within the central.
Right. Right.
Tamara, did you want to go over the cost of the health and safety rating?
Sure. Yes, thank you. For a single location,
With a dog.
perfect timing with someone ringing the doorbell. My apologies, everyone. For a single location, it's about $4,200, but smaller businesses looking to do this, it's under $3,000, it's around $2,700. And the health and safety rating also has a portfolio type system where you can enroll multiple locations, and the pricing ranges from $2,500 to $17 per location, depending on how many locations you're enrolling. So really, you know, when we're talking about businesses, this is pennies in comparison to other things we spend our money on.
So the next one is, it's not necessarily a question, but maybe we could all sort of opine on this. So it seems like we're from the pandemic where we might be moving into more of an endemic situation, but it doesn't change the fact that we still want to go through the process of creating a well environment regardless. So how do we get people, let's say that we've found that the infection rates are dropping dramatically and hospitalizations and ICUs or occupancies are dropping dramatically. Are people going to back off? And how do we continue to encourage building owners and for us as design professionals to encourage our clients to do this and to, you know, protect their environment inside? It's a very open-ended question.
I can start. I think the importance really comes down to market competition. If, you know, we have a large number of people looking for jobs and building A has implemented all of these health and wellness strategies, and building B hasn't, and this person has the opportunity to go anywhere they want, they're obviously going to choose building A, right? So it comes down to attracting top talent, retaining top talent. It takes an incredible amount of investment and money to hire a new individual. We spend about 90% of our bottom line on our people, whether it's our healthcare costs, whether it's through HR. 90% of our bottom line is spent on our people. So if we can really concentrate on making a healthy and well space to be for our occupants, it's really going to hit our bottom line in a positive manner. So whether we get over the hump of the pandemic, health and wellness isn't something to ignore. Right now, our bottom lines depend on healthy and safe spaces.
I have one more thing also from indoor air quality. The pandemic came with no alarm. Suddenly we opened up our eyes, next day we have a pandemic, and even we didn't realize what we have been dealing with. And till now, we don't know what we are dealing with. One time they say this thing can work, next day, oh, it doesn't work. This thing can stop the pandemic, and it's not. So there is no guarantee that we can walk up another day with another wave of viruses we know nothing about. We were lucky. This thing was a death rate of 1%, and now we are approaching just more than 500 million people died out or affected from this pandemic. Sorry, not died. So many people died, millions died, but we never know what's going to come next. It could be 10 times more worse than what we have been going through. So we need to learn from the lesson, and we need to prepare for the future, because shame on us if we have not been prepared, especially with some critical facilities. And I'm talking about maybe facilities like DOD facilities, schools, universities, headquarters. These kind of central operating buildings, these facilities, they should be from any upcoming viruses that may hit our country or hit the world.
And to follow up
Excellent.
with what Mark was just saying, I mean, that's exactly right. This emergency preparedness, that's one of those things, that's one of the main topics of the health and safety rating is, are you prepared for emergencies? And it's general, it's not just COVID, it's anything that can come up, having a plan, how to create a business continuity plan. Do you have a plan for healthy reentry? All of these things, I think we're aware of where we fell short in response to the stay-at-home orders and everything. Are we prepared to allow people to work from home if it's possible, and making sure that we're all staying safe and healthy? And I'm going to get on my soapbox here for just a second, but I personally, I think one of the good things that came out of this is an awareness of just taking care of yourself. And if you're sick, you stay at home. And if you're not so sick that you know, of course, I personally think if you're sick, you should stay at home and rest. But if you need to get something done, stay out of the office and keep all the germs to yourself. Don't spread them around. And I think there's just now a much bigger awareness in the US that it's not, you're not being a martyr coming in and working while you're coughing and sputtering all over your coworkers. You know,
Along with that,
you're not a
Tamara,
hero for doing that.
along with that is in part of the health and safety rating, that paid sick leave also goes over to family, because here we are with kids in school. A lot of people are faced with taking sick days to stay home with sick kids because they can't go to school. So part of that paid sick leave is paid family sick leave. So a lot of companies don't have that in place right now. And so we're having a hard transition between letting our kids go back to school and having them stay home sick and having to take our own sick leave. So part of that is kind of rewriting that sick leave to really focus on pandemic induced situations.
Thank you, Denise. Well said.
So we want to try to get this wrapped up so everybody can get back to work here before the end of their lunch hour. So I'm going to wrap things up, and I just wanted to see from our panelists if there's any other final comments they want to make here. No?
No,
Great
stay
stuff.
safe and reach out
yeah.
if you have a project you want help on.
Yeah, well said. And I hope that everyone that participated got some take-home value today. That was the intent of this, to educate and inform, and hope to see you again soon. So thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.